Good morning, everyone. Let me look in the right camera. I've got that many cameras going around. I don't know where to look at the moment. How are we all today? Certainly here, just outside of Perth, it's absolutely freezing. Well, by freezing, I mean 9 degrees Celsius, but that's freezing to me. I'm having to rub my hands to keep them warm. The old cardigan, it's even fastened up today. We've got a couple of people in already. I've not yet worked out how to get a list of participants that are in there, so that's something I need to look at, and hopefully I'll get that sorted eventually. It's been a busy week this week. Well, all week's busy nowadays. It just seems like everything I'm doing is just dash, 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 which has been really interesting because it's allowed me to use my pens quite a lot. And I've only really used my EDC pens this week. You know, most weeks I do use a number of other pens as well. Let's start though by chatting over the topic that I thought we'd talk about today. And this is where the EDC pens really come in. What I thought I'd talk about is how I pick the pens that I'm going to use each month. So when I started really doing this channel, I thought one of the things I'd like to do was my pens in use because they're videos that I enjoy watching. And I thought, let's have a monthly pens in use rotation. I know a lot of people, you know, like Penultimate Dave, Wesley Squirrel, they do like a weekly video, which I really enjoy. I've watched both of those. I don't use my pens enough though, really, to be able to change them every week. But once a month, I think that's quite reasonable. That lets me use each pen. It lets me use enough, and that then gets me through the week. Marilyn Gardner, hi from the United States. I hope it's a bit warmer there than it is here. I'm just trying to work out. Oh, there we go. I've got it working. I always worried the first time I put a comment up because there's a couple of things I need to do beforehand. And at least this lets me actually do it now. So happy with that. Yeah, so anyway, how do I pick my pen? So when I started, I was just picking 6 pens. And one of the things that I found is by picking 6 pens, yes, it's enough because in a week I can use all of them and hopefully 1 or 2 of them twice. But I was finding that I was picking, of the 6, maybe 3 or 4 of them, they were the same pen or they were from the same subset of pens. They weren't really changing much. And that meant there was a lot of pens there that really weren't getting the love they deserved. So one of the things I started thinking about and came up with this idea of a theme. So that's a theme for the month. So that when I'm picking my pens, I'm limiting myself to pens within that theme. Now, one of the things this has done for me, it's given me the ability to have certainly a wider range of my pens, because if I'm doing a theme like this month's theme, they're, you know, all pens really that are on the more expensive side. I think the cheapest is $197, something like that. Whereas, like last month, Use Me Up, the idea about that is I only use pens that are currently inked up. I do end up with a lot of pens inked up, you know, especially when I'm doing comparison videos. You know, if I do a showdown video, that's 2 pens I need to have inked up for that. So by limiting it, it actually fetches me down and focuses my mind. But it's not just pens. Next month is going to be, I'm calling it Christmas in July. I'm actually planning that at the moment. Next month, it's not going to be about the pens. Next month, it's going to be focusing on picking the inks. So next month, all the inks will only be from the Diamine ink event calendars. So again, that's focusing me down. So this was really why I went down this idea of themes. And then it also lets me play around a little bit. I mean, earlier this year, I did a theme which were all trying to match a pen to a Marvel character. Worked really well. Not sure if I'll do another one similar to that, but I've got a plan to do one maybe next year where it'll be mapping to a, not Marvel, but DC character. I've also got an idea to maybe do one where I'm mapping to a Star Trek character. That'd be quite interesting. Especially when it's harder with that, because with the Marvel and DC, you've got things like, Iron Man. He's got a specific suit that you can match to. He's also the rich guy, which you can match to. You've got Daredevil with that really, really vibrant crimson. So that was actually quite nice. And as I say, it just made it for an interesting month. I've got loads of themes planned. Let me just see. I'm going to fetch up. Just going to do this on the other window for a second. I should have thought about this beforehand. Let me just see if I can get my future planning. So where am we going? Ideas scheduled. Here we go. So I'm going to swap over and show you my screen. So over here, it's using a system called Notion, but this is where I do my planning. And you can see here pens in use, this category. So next month, I say I'm going to be doing Christmas in July. The month after that, let me look forward. August will be Use Me Up. September, where are we? Pens in use, small pens. So, I might change the theme. Hopefully not. So the idea there is they're all smaller pens. So things like the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. October is mainland Chinese pens. So all pens made in mainland China. November, Use Me Up again. And then 2023 in December, it will only be using Inkvent inks from 2022. And that's just one list. I've then got my ideas list here. And if we go down, you can see all the different pens and use ones that I've got. Okay, right, using this. There we go. This is better. So you can see all the different ones. Star Trek characters, Star Wars characters. A brown month, so only using either brown pens or brown inks. Have I got any others? Not that I can see at the moment. I see I've got loads and loads of ideas for videos. Here's some more pens in use. Only Aussie inks. Pens from India, so Fountain Pen Revolution, Ranga, pens like that. Oh, that's new, pens that I've recently bought, so maybe pens that are less than 3 months or 6 months old in my collection. Viewer's choice, I'm not sure about this. This is one, again, it'll be next year. I'm thinking of working out how to do some kind of poll so I can list all the pens and all the inks and then let people go and vote for what pen and ink combination they want me to use. Nibs are the same size, so that's saying like all broad nibs or medium nibs, something like that. So loads of different ideas. If you've got any ideas, let me know, because I'd love to add them to the list. Can't guarantee when I'll get around to doing them, but the more I can build the list, that means that I'm able to, hopefully do more interesting videos, because when there are only ideas that are coming from me, no matter how hard you try, they all end up going down the same route. That's why I love getting ideas from other people. So let's look at the messages we've got. We've got Marie, hi from Michigan. Marilyn Gardner, hot and humid. Spring lasted only 3 days, sadly. Always. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. I love doing these videos. Marilyn Gardner, new Inkvent bottles. So are they the? I'm assuming they're the full-size bottles from last year. At the moment, I'm not buying any inks. It's a wife-imposed ban, because I think the word she used is you've got too many. Well, she didn't use them exact words, but I think that's what she meant. She used some words. I didn't understand half the words she used because they were rude. Marie, great ideas for videos. They are. I think some of them are quite interesting. And I say this is the whole idea of using this theme system. Now, why I'm talking about this as today's topic is Sunday next week. I'll tell you when we get to the future videos. But Sunday next week, what I'm doing, let me just pull this out of my drawer. This is my pens in use book. This is the one where you see where I list them all. What I've actually done is I filmed a video where I go through that from the start of that book, which was January of last year. So I've got about 15, 16 months worth of entries in there. Oh, my hair's a mess, I've just noticed. Oh, needs a cut, I think. Yeah, so Sunday next week, we're actually going to walk through that. It was a really nice video to make. Just took me down memory lane a bit. And that's, again, one of the beauties. Do you keep things like an ink journal where you can go and look back and think, yeah, I can remember when I was using that pen and ink. I can remember how I was feeling, how I was enjoying it. And that's what I got from looking through that. And then even after I'd finished making the video, when I was able to sit and reflect on what we went through, it was really interesting. I thought that was quite an interesting thing. So that's really my topic for today. Please keep popping the comments into the chat. I will come back and check them again in a second. Let's move on over. Now I'm just switching over. And we'll go to, hopefully that's the right button. You don't want to see my script. Yeah, I do have a script. Now that I've automated a lot of this, the actual script takes me about 10 minutes to create. The majority of it is all automated. So where I'm pulling out this week's pens and where I'm pulling out the videos, that actually pulls straight from my databases. So that's all done. That takes me about 10 seconds. And then where I'm coming up with the theme, say I literally go through, I've got a list of potential lives and I just pick one of the ones, and that's why I thought this is what we'll talk about this week. So let's start now. We can get some writing. I do like to see pen videos with writing in it. This week's pens. So I started the pen with my Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. So we'll go the Leonardo. I know it's got a big long name really. I always just refer to Leonardo. Just going to move this mic. You might hear some tinging. Hopefully that's better. So I'm just going to put MZG. This has got a broad nib. Not a broad, a medium nib even. This was after the swap, so it's a Yoho nib. The ink that I've got in here is by Dominant Industry. And it's Winter Wood. Now I'm just going to see if we can catch this. This is a really nice brown. After I've written for a few lines, it does tend to go a little bit paler. But I'm not sure if you can see that. I do think there's hints of like a green sheen in there as well. Really nice, really enjoying this combo. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail. One thing I do miss from this pen, though, it's a piston filler. There's no ink window. That's the only downside to that pen. Second pen that I've used this week, this was the Pilot Custom 823. Now, when I used this, which was actually on Monday, it had a Dominant Industry Lungo in it, but it ran out. So I've cleaned out the pen and I've put in a different ink. Part of my pens in use idea is if a pen runs out of ink within the first 2 weeks, then I fill it again, maybe with the same ink, maybe with a different ink. I say this one I decided to fill with a different ink. After the 2 weeks is up, then I can either refill it still, depends how much I'm enjoying it, or I can just clean it out, leave it uninked, and then I either fetch in another pen or I just use the reduced. I can either fetch in another pen or I just use, I can't talk today. This is why when I do my other videos, because I edit out that, sometimes I can say something 6 or 7 times. Anyway, let's try again. I can either ink it again or take it out of rotation and then I just use the reduced number of pens. I do occasionally fetch another pen in as well. I say it all depends how things are going, how I'm feeling, and what the theme of the month is and what I'm trying to do with it. So anyway, this was pen number 2. This was a Pilot Custom 823. Can't even write today. This one does have a broad nib, so it's a 14 karat gold nib. The ink in here, it's by Diamine. Needed to think for a second then. And it's Diamine Eau de Nil. Not quite a match, so I'm just going to have a mouthful of tea. Today I'm using my Avengers mug with my peppermint tea in it. So it's a bit of an unusual coloured ink. Not sure, it's like a blue, but it's not like a tealy or a turquoisey blue. I don't know, maybe I'd describe it as like a dirty blue. And I think Eau de Nil is meant to be water of the Nile. So the idea is, I think, it's the blue of water then mixed with the murkiness of like sand. Really nice though, quite enjoy it. The next pen is by Narwhal, and it's a Narwhal Nautilus. This is the Pelagio Noctiluca. I've just completely butchered that. Love the colours of this. I'm going to fetch this up a bit. Hopefully we can get that to focus. Really vibrant colours in here, but not in your face. They're quite subtle. Then we've got the portholes. Now I have had a couple of issues with this. Hopefully this works. I didn't do a test. Oh, yep, it does. So this is the Narvaleur, or Narwhal Nautilus. This has got an extra broad nib, really juicy nib. The ink in here is by Pure Pens, and it's called People's Charter. Very nice ink. It's like a purple colour, but as it dries, it hits on this gorgeous sheen. We'll leave that a minute or two to dry because I do find it is quite wet, and then we'll come back and have a look at it, maybe after the next pen. The next pen is the TWSBI Draco. Love the colouring of this. This is one TWSBI said it's a limited edition. I think it was something like 3,000 or 2,000, something like that. To me, with that sort of number, it's not really limited. Very nice though. Nib on this though is tiny, minute. Doesn't look right with the pen. It's a nice nib, and I think it's more of like a standard TWSBI size. I believe these nibs are made for them by Yoho. It's a nice pen though. It's got the tiniest ink window possible. It's one of the things, that I don't like about it. But the pen is a TWSBI Draco. With a broad nib. The ink in here is by Diamine, and it's mulled wine. Really nice, really enjoyable. Get to see some, hopefully it'll come through. We've got some nice shading in there. Let me just see if I can get that Narwhal Nautilus there. Not sure if it comes over on the camera, but when it dries, it's got a gorgeous dark green sheen to it. It's actually really quite attractive ink. It is made for Pure Pens by Diamine, and it's part of a range of 4 inks that Pure Pens sold that are made by Diamine. Pure Pens do make their own inks as well. I don't have any of those in pens today. Anyway, that was my 4th pen. This did run out of ink during the week, and I filled it with the same wine. I filled it with the same ink. I don't know, I filled in it with wine. Was it Wasky Squirrel did a video where he did that? And yeah, they didn't seem to write that well. For me, I'd rather drink the wine than actually put it in a pen though. But anyway, that's a TWSBI Draco. My next pen is here. This is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. This is in the blue-green nebula. Absolutely love this. I am seeing some comments coming in. I will come back today and we'll have a quick look at them once I finish going through the pens. Very nice. I don't know if this comes over on the camera. Let me see if I can actually get it in the camera there. It's a fairly transparent material, but then you can see hints, hopefully. It's got like hints of silver, like little silver dots, which look like stars, you know, in the blue-green nebula cloud. Very nice. This pen I do need to use posted. It's too small unposted. It's alright for like a word or two, but for general writing, I post it. So this is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Broad nib. It's a broad Japanese nib though. The ink is by Diamine. Just having to check my notes. And it's marine. Had this ink for a while, and I've also got, well, the next ink you'll see is Diamine Aqua Lagoon, and I keep swapping between the two of them. This, it's like a turquoisey colour, but it's got hints of green, so we've got, let me try and get it in the right place. There we go. So you can see that green coming through there. I love writing with this pen. It is small. It does make my hand ache, but the experience with this nib, absolutely beautiful, really, really nice. So that was the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Then the last pen that I've spent with this week, I've already hinted at the ink. This is the Visconti Van Gogh. This is in the blue portrait. Just let me fetch this up. I know you'd have seen all of these on Friday when the actual Pens and Use video came out. Very pretty pen. So this is the Visconti Van Gogh with a broad nib. The nib is broad. For what this pen cost, I would have liked to have had a gold nib in here. The ink by Diamine, and it's Aqua Lagoon. Which I think I may have spelled wrong, I'm not sure. Let me just fetch this up to the camera. There we go, Diamine Lagoon. And you can see there with the marine, they are very similar in colour, but you can now start to see the green hint that's in the marine. Really nice. Enjoy both these pens. Enjoy both the inks. I like but don't like the cap. The cap, it's got a magnetic closure. So again, let me just try and fetch that up. If I'm just going to gently move it, then all of a sudden, snap. That's fine, but if you've got a pacemaker, you can't put it in your shirt pocket because the magnet could actually impact the pacemaker. So that's just something to be aware. You know, it's very nice, but there are certain issues with it. Right, let's have a quick look at comments, and then we'll carry on looking at some other things. You may see my mouse suddenly appear. And so, Tom, hi from the East Coast, US. Marilyn Gardner, never met my wife, love her anyway. I wouldn't be without her, but I tell you, she can be a pain in the butt. She is certainly someone that she keeps you real. Well, I've lost my mouse. There it is. I've got like 4 screens going, and my mouse sometimes vanishes. Hi, Rob. Pretty standard 5-inch pens at most times. I've got to be honest, if I wasn't making these videos, I would chances are I'd just have them 6 inked, you know, my 6 for my EDC. A lot of the reason why I end up with so many inked up, as I say, it's from doing the videos, because I need to, you know, experiment, play around with the pens before I record the video. And then I don't like putting ink down the sink, so that's why I'll use them. And again, really why we have the Use Me Up months. Dear, hope you and yours are in best health. Yeah, that's certainly something we could all do with now. Again, dear, many thanks for sharing your pens and inks with us. Yeah, the short videos that I do, to be honest, the only reason I do them, or why I started doing them, is every morning I do some handwriting practice. So I'm using the pens Just pull the book. So the book I'm using at the moment, this was one I got from China. It was called a Dot Ding. They advertised it as being A5. It's not A5 size. Very similar, but it's narrower. This is cut for A5 size, so you can see the difference. You know, today was the 823 in Diamine Eau de Nil. So that's the video you'll see tomorrow on YouTube. I might do a walk through some of these. I keep them. I don't throw anything away. But it's just interesting, you know, and as I say, I use it to try out the pens, try out the inks. This paper doesn't fetch out a lot of sheening, but it's still quite interesting. Pop that away. I have, when you're on the main camera, you'll see this shelving unit behind me. So everything, it's just out of reach. And the reason why I do that is one of the things, I work from home. So being sat at your desk all day, you don't really get to move a lot. So what I do, I keep everything just out of reach. So the idea is I've got to move, you know, I don't necessarily have to get out of the chair, but I've still got to move around and so I can get to anything. So that's why you'll see me reaching over every so often if I'm going to get something. Go back to the comments. Yeah, this is Rob. Might as well say Narwhal. I saw was it from a pen show about a year ago where they said that it's pronounced Narwhal. My problem is if I say the word Narwhal when I'm writing it, that's what I'll write. And I know I need to get my head around it, but I'm terrible for just saying Narvalu. But it should be Narwhal. Oh, sorry. Again, Rob, Diamine mulled wine. Yeah. I do. I've got to be honest. I'm a sucker for this colour. I do like it. I think it's nice, and you know you can see there the shading coming through. Rob, yeah. Again, Rob, sucker for teals too. Yeah, as I've said on lots of my videos, green's my favourite colour, and I'm finding that teals they're adding a little bit of extra interest to it. Just 1 second, I've got to wipe my nose. Again, on a pre-recorded video, that would have been edited out. Right, we'll come back to the comments in a couple of minutes. So this week has been a week of deliveries. I've had a number of deliveries come in. The first one, this was a pen that I ordered from a very small manufacturer over in Melbourne. He makes these. They're actually 3D printed. The company is Platypus Pens. And the whole pen, obviously apart from the nib, is 3D printed. It's literally one man just making them. I believe he's a retired lecturer. It's a very nice pen. This is the Model 10. I have already got this inked up. I filmed the unboxing of this. The unboxing won't come out until, I would say, I want to say sometime in July. I do have it scheduled, I'm just not sure when. So we can actually write with this because it's got ink in it. The pen itself, as I say, 3D printed, so it's made of like a resin. Feels quite light, but there is some lead weight in, so the idea is it's got this level that it'll find. So when you put it down, it'll go to a level rather than keep rolling. Brilliant idea. It's a cartridge converter. Getting this fitting is made of plastic. So potential you could possibly eyedropper it. I don't know. I mean, it looks like everything is sealed. I love this. The material that I chose, it's got loads of different colours. And as I say, everything's made to order, so you can pick which colours you want. This is slightly translucent, and there's like little sparkles in it. Very nice. The nib on it, I think it might be bought, but I'm not 100% certain. I certainly, when I ordered it on his website, it said they were bot nibs. So this is a Platypus. It's Model 10 with a broad nib. The ink in here is by Diamine. and it's Elf. Thought it's a nice green ink, and it's an unusual green. This green is called Galaxy Green. Really nice. So that was the first delivery I've had. The following day, I had another delivery. Now that day it'd been one of those days where you're thinking, why am I bothering with anything? Because everything I was doing was just going wrong. You know, you get these days. You know, my background and my main passion is IT, and I was working on some code, and no matter what I was doing, it would not work. Yes, eventually I did get it to work. So by the time the postman came, I was just thinking, do you know, I've had enough. I can't be bothered. And there was a parcel. And in the parcel was this. This is a Conklin Durograph. It's absolutely lovely. And it was sent by somebody who watches my videos over in, I think it was Sydney. And I've got to be honest, it absolutely made my day. I was absolutely gobsmacked. It really did, because I'd been having such a crappy day, and then to have something like this arrive, completely unexpected. I'll tell you, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was in awe at the time. Now, he sent this, but when he sent the pen, in the letter, he did say that, you know, a number of my videos I've said about the issues I've had with the Conklin All-American. So he's hoping that, you know, I won't have any issues with this, that I'll enjoy this. It's nice, you know. To me, it's a bit like a, I'm going to compare it to my Chinese pens, a bit like the Jinhao 100 and the Kaigalu 316 in terms of the shape. It feels absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to be filming tomorrow the first impressions of this. Again, the first impressions will not come out until, I think, the end of July for this one. But I'll tell you, I was absolutely blown away. I was so gobsmacked. And if you're watching this video, you absolutely made my day, because you turned what was being one of the worst days I've had for about 3 weeks, you know, where things were just going wrong no matter what I did. And you turned it into an awesome day. And by doing that, I don't know how you managed to do it, but after receiving this, after seeing what was in it, the solution to my problem with my code went bang into my head. Other deliveries I've had this week. This was actually the day after that. So I had 3 deliveries, one each day for 3 days. I bet the postman's thinking, what's going on here? In there were some notebooks. Now, what I do, I should have explained this with the platypus pen. The platypus pen, I say I've been talking to the guy for about 2.5 months on this. I managed to try and order it just as it went on holiday. And then, obviously, he was having his vacation, he's retired. The money for this was not completely, but partly covered by the money I get from YouTube. So running the ads on YouTube, I get a little bit. Works out, I would say, about 120 Aussie dollars every couple of months. So it's not a massive amount, but everything that I get from that, I plough back into stuff for the channel. So, you know, this was 170 Aussie dollars plus postage. So I had to obviously cover some of it from my pocket, which I don't mind doing, but the majority came from YouTube. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got the latest amount of money from YouTube. So I ordered some notebooks. I've got 2 here. I ordered 5. My wife was here when I unpacked the box, and 3 of them vanished, and she said something about mutter, 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 these will do for Inkvent. If you're new to the channel, Inkvent, so that's the Diamine Inkvent calendar. What I do is I do a video every day when I'm going through them. As part of that, obviously I look at the Inkvent ink, but my wife, she also gets me a stationery related or related to some of my interests gift, which I also open in the video. So I'm guessing there'll be 3 notebooks this year. But anyway, so they vanished, but she did leave me with these 2. So I've got the Leuchtturm 1917. This is 100-gram paper. It's dotted. I do have the original Leuchtturm, which is what I use for my bullet journal. What I'm going to use this for is, I'm not going to show you inside there. Here I've got a black and red notebook. I'll jump to the back. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid showing you my entries because this is my personal journal. So in here, every day I write a page of A5. It's nearly empty, so it's nearly full, so I needed a replacement one. So I thought, let's try something different. And that's why I thought, well, we'll try this Leuchtturm 120 gram. Part of using different papers is obviously with the pens, see how they react on different papers. The other one that came was this endless recorder notebook. And this one, hopefully it says on the back, this is using the Regalia paper. So again, it's a different paper again. Why I've ordered that one? Most of my videos are filmed using this black and red A5 notebook. So this is Oxford Optic paper. So you can see here where I'm using this. So this is about halfway, or maybe a little bit over halfway gone. But I thought, let's start planning. So when I was ordering the paper, I ordered this, and I'm going to use this once that black and red's filled up. Again, it's using different paper. What I'll also do, though, he says, pulling out yet another book, is I'm going to do a comparison between this, which is the Regalia paper, against an existing one that I've got. This is an existing endless recorder notebook. This has got 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. So there's one I did a while ago. So what I'll do is I'll actually do a comparison between the two. I did see, I think it was Marcy Me. She did a video looking at the two of them earlier on this week. I enjoyed watching that. So I'm not sure when that's going to be. I think I'm recording it in about 3 weeks. And it might be August when it comes out. Just pop these over the back. And we'll switch to camera view. And let's scoot on over so we're back in the main camera. So that's been the week that I've got, what I've been using, what's happened pen-wise. Let me just see, are there any comments coming through? The problem with this is, here we go. It doesn't automatically refresh, so I have to try and do that. So Tom Morley, yeah, absolutely agree. There's many lovely, gorgeous teals. Two of my favourite are Diamine Aurora Borealis and Robert Oster Tranquility. They're the two that I tend to reach for. Rob, he's got a Quokka. When I was looking at this pen, I did look at the Model 10 and I did look at the smaller version. But I thought, no, let's go for the full size. Absolutely love it. Love this pen. It's really nice. I say I only had it this week. Can't wait to really use that one in anger. Can you explain 3D pens? Oh, so Marie, this is not going to be perfectly technical. So you get 3D printers, which I think there's two types. There's one which uses some kind of resin, liquid resin, I think, and the other one which uses like a very thin thread, which goes through into the nozzle, heats up, and then on your computer, what you have to do is create a 3D model of what you want to actually print. And that 3D model is got to be detailed. When you then send that to the printer, it then prints it out and it prints it layer by layer. So on here, I'm assuming, let's take the cap off. Imagine the white's not there, that's glued on. He would have started with the top here and it would have printed out like that. And bit by bit, layer by layer, it goes round and it prints that pattern that's coming from the computer. I don't have a 3D printer myself. I'd love to get one. My son says just buy one and ignore what mum says. When I tell my wife I want one, it's something like, well, what's that? Yet another stupid hobby. Yeah, so Marilyn Gardner about the feeds being different shapes. So if I show you the feed on that, if somebody can help, I think it is Bach. I'm just trying to catch that so we can look at different angles. There's the feed. I don't want to unscrew it now because it's got ink in it. Yeah, Rob, I thought it was Yo-Ho from the patterning. It doesn't matter because it's still very nice. I love this username. Unhealthy levels of matte. For a while, the Continent All-American was his favourite. Still love it. The issue I had with the Conklin, let me just grab it. Here's the All-American that I got. It's a wooden version. It's the golden walnut, I think it was. Absolutely love the pen, love the shape, love this material. It's not got the Conklin nib on anymore. I've tried swapping the nibs. I've tried all sorts to get this pen working. I don't know what it is, but the nib dries up. As soon as I've popped it with the cap on, the nib, it dries up within maybe 15 minutes and it's a nightmare to get it going again. I've tried all sorts. The next thing I want to try, I haven't got around to it. Let me get that in the camera. I don't think there's a cap liner in there. And I think what's happening, because it's wood, that it's allowing evaporation to happen. And that's what's drying it out. Also, here in Australia, it's quite warm. Other issue I had, the body here came completely detached from the metal fitting. Completely came off, really did. When I looked at it, there was a tiniest bit of glue, and that was all that was holding it on. Really bad quality control. That body should not have come off. I can accept the issue with it drying out, but not with this coming off. It's now on there because I've glued it back on. When it works, it's beautiful, very nice. It's a pain in the butt, to put it rather politely. So that was my issue with the Conklin. What I did then do is, I wanted to give Yaffa brands the benefit of the doubt. So I got myself, about March time this year, let me get it, I can show you it. I got myself a Monteverde pen, which is also made by Yaffa brands, which are who now own Conklin. I got this one. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's a metal pen. Got a metal cap on it. It's got, there we are, it's got the Yo-Ho nib. Absolutely love this pen. Really enjoy writing with it. So, I'm starting to feel better about Yaffa brands. Let me just pop this away. If I don't pop things away, then I end up leaving them out all over the place. So what I did is, I'll say when this came in, I was gobsmacked. But at least it's going to hopefully give Conklin a chance to redeem its name. Let me go through. There's some more comments coming in. Oh. Yeah, a little distraction always helps working on a stubborn coding problem. One of the things, now work at home, it's not as much of a problem. But when I used to work in an office, they were all open plan. Yeah, the offices were all open plan. And what I do when I'm working on code, especially when I'm trying to get my head around something that's a bit stubborn, I talk to myself, and I used to get funny looks from people trying to work out why I was talking to myself. At least at home, when I talk to myself, it's only the dog really that gets bothered by it because she thinks I'm talking to her. But my wife often says she never knows if I'm recording or not because she walks by and she just hears me talking, and it's either I'm recording or I'm talking to myself. Rob, he's had issues with contouring again as well. All the nibs being the worst he's experienced. The nibs now, I believe, are made by Yoho. I'm not sure if they're made to Conklin specification or if they're just bog standard ones. That's something hopefully I'll be able to find once I get this Durograph inked up. I think so. Unhealthy levels. Matt thinks he might have been lucky with them. Marie, I think, yeah, the term printer is thrown off when you talk about 3D printers because it's, if I say to my wife a printer, this is why I haven't even bothered talking to her about them. She's the same. She thinks it's a printer where you get paper coming out. I've got two of those in here. I've got a laser printer and I've got an inkjet printer. And if I said to her about a 3D one, she'll be saying, no, you're not having that. Dear, thank you. Hopefully that 3D talk was correct. I might try it with a wife. I might get her to watch it, see if she'll let me buy one after that. Marilyn Gardner's got the same green flake Conklin Durograph. She's put a different nib on it. Rob and Marilyn both saying it's the one, it's the Ritmer, the Monteverde Ritmer, and same with Tom saying he's got several Ritmers. The one I've got is the olive colour special edition, I think from 2021. I got it from I think it was Colt Pens. It's nice. When it was recommended, actually recommended by one of the viewers, Paul, and when he was recommending it, I was thinking, I don't know, I've had all these issues with this Conklin. Is it going to be the same? But completely different. It's a lot higher quality feeling. I love the metal. It's heavy. I like heavy pens, and that's really, really nice. Let me see if are there any more comments. Not at the moment. So, final portion before we do one final look for comments. My wife's starting to move around the house, so I can't go on for too much longer because I get into trouble. So last week's videos. So last Sunday, the video was about looking at the losing pens from the tournament heats. Enjoyed doing that because, again, it's revisiting the pens. I think, with a number of them, all the pens, they've all got some compromises, but there was a couple where I'd have liked to have seen them progress, but they didn't. But saying that, they all matched the predictions that I made. Tuesday, I had the wrap-up of my pens from May, which was the Use Me Up month. I think it was about 12 pens that I managed to empty out in May. And then I inked up about 8 more. So still had a net of 4 pens put away. Not yesterday, today's Sunday, isn't it? Friday, the video that went out was my pens in use for June. We've already looked at the pens. You paid how much? The saying that my wife often uses when I show her a new pen that came in, and it was how much? Yesterday's video, we're still talking about the past, aren't we? Yesterday's video was on my tricky questions. I was trying to do a brief look at infinity. That video, the research for that made my head hurt. And it still hurts, I've got to be honest, trying to get my head around infinity. You often hear of infinity, and I was trying to look at, well, actually, what is it? Is it a number? It's not a number. It's, what's the word? It's gone out of my head. It's a magnitude, I think it was the word that I found that best described it. And although it didn't make it into the video, I was looking at things like I can't remember who it was now, but they were saying one way to try and get your head around infinity is imagine a hotel with infinite rooms and a bus turns up with infinite people. The infinite people then take up the infinite rooms. You then get another bus turn up, again with infinite people. And to fit them in, all you have to do is move the people that are currently in there into the even numbered rooms, and then the next infinite people can then go into the odd numbered rooms. And because it's infinite, it's got no end, so you've always got room no matter how many people turn up. That was quite interesting anyway. Today's video is my tournament final. We've got the Pilot Custom 823 and the Hondian N8. I think I know which one's going to win. Although I might be surprised because the two pens, very, very different price points. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that one goes. On Tuesday, I'm going to be starting a mini-series. So for the next 3 Tuesdays, this week's is going to be the top 5 pens I would buy again, but under 50 Aussie dollars. Week 2 will be between 50 and 100 Aussie dollars, and week 3 will be over 100 Aussie dollars. And it's only looking at pens that are currently in my collection, and that if something would happen, I would buy again. It's like a fun vid. It's a fun series. I quite enjoy doing it. They've all been recorded already. Friday, I'm going to be doing an ink comparison. So usually the second Friday of each month, that's where I'm going to do an ink video. I look at 2 different red inks this time. It's the St. George's Cross by Pure Pens and Waterman Audacious Red. And just really looking at them, comparing them against each other. Saturday, so that's a look for my tricky questions. That's my question that I put forward for it is, do clouds have weight? So it was looking a bit at the theory of how clouds form, what makes them up, and also, how heavy is a cloud? And the answer I got when I worked through it, wow, I was gobsmacked. They are so heavy. Then next Sunday, that's going to be walking through that pens and use book. So that's next Sunday in the afternoon, my main video for Sunday, not the live. Next Sunday's live, we'll be looking at the winning pen from the tournament. We'll have had the decision by then. So we'll be announcing it then. On the following Monday, I think I'll be recording a... he says, let me just check my recording calendar. I can tell you. I think I had in there to record a video looking at that. Let's just check. Yep. What I'll be doing then, so the live will be announcing the winner. Then on the Monday, what I'll be doing is recording a video where I'm talking about the tournament results and some of the lessons I actually learned from doing the whole tournament. And that will be released the following Sunday. So that's what I've got coming up. Now to do one final check for comments. Rob, why do I have 2 different printers? To be honest, it's because I'm a bit of a tightwad. I only had the laser printer, and that was a pure printer, and it just prints, obviously, it's colour. But what I was finding, my wife is into craft stuff, and she often wants me to print pictures out for her. And I was having issues printing pictures because I think it was to do with the memory buffer in the printer. The amount of data being sent from the picture was just so much. That's why I got the inkjet. The inkjet, though, has also got a scanner on it. So it was able to replace my old flatbed scanner, which was also playing up. So it was handy. But because there's still ink in the laser one, although I don't use it very often, I keep it because it allows me to print out. That's the whole idea of a printer. Once the toner is gone, I'll be getting rid of that. But it's purely, I'm a bit of a tightwad, so if something's working, I don't want to get rid of it. Pensane, just popping in from Riverside, California. Pensane does some really good videos. Really enjoy them. They're things that I like to watch because obviously I watch a number of videos, but they give me different ideas and allow me to adapt what I'm doing, see what other people are doing, and they give me this idea of, wow, that looks quite handy. Yeah, Rob. Infinity is not a concept God has easily made describable. I deliberately did not talk about God in the video because I was trying to keep it short and I didn't want to go into too much detail. So I looked more at the mathematical side of infinity. But yeah, I'm with you. Rob, yeah, that'd take forever to try and describe infinity. Tom Morley's mathematician and infinity is perfectly normal. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's still making my head hurt. My background is IT science. You know, I love all this stuff, and I loved digging into this infinity. I did toy with starting to talk about infinity stones in it, but I thought, no, Gary, that's moving away from the idea. As finite people, infinity certainly are inspiring. Completely with you. Pensane, ink videos don't perform as well. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I do. When I look at the numbers, yes, they're definitely in the lower 5 usually. But it's more, I like to, do different things, and that's why really I only do that ink video once a month, and try to keep it on that one Friday. And Rob Mack, yeah, that figures. I don't know why ink videos don't perform as well, because to me, having a fountain pen is important. It's handy. If you don't have ink, you can't do anything with it, can you? But I think ink, there's so many inks out there that it is quite difficult with it. And yeah, it's just more of a case of a bit of fun, something different. All right, let's see. Are there any more comments? No, I think that's all of them for now. Right, my wife's just walked past the office door. I think that means that it's time for me to say goodbye for today. I've actually gone a bit longer than what I planned. I'm trying to get these down to between 40-45 minutes, and we're up to an hour. Thank you all for your time. Hope you enjoy these videos. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up button, especially if you're watching on replay. Hit the thumbs up button, give it a like. Comments. Yes, the chat goes away once this finishes, but drop any comments onto the video. Drop them down below in the comment box. I do read every single comment. I try to reply to as many as I can. If there's a comment on there that isn't really a question or something like that, someone's just saying something, what I do, even if I don't reply to it, I'll hit the like button. So if you see that I've liked it, then you know at least I've read it. But it's important to me that I read every single comment. And yes, sometimes it may take me a day or two, depends how busy I am. But I do try as much as possible every single day to clear out all the comments so I've read them all. So please drop some comments. I love seeing them. I love reading them. I love ideas. I love suggestions, because everything you do, everything you contribute helps me to improve the quality of the videos I'm making. So thank you all. Let me do one final check for comments. Yeah, we've got a couple more. Here we go. Yeah, so Rob Mack, I say, yeah, I don't know why ink ones don't seem to do as well, though. And they are, again, Pensane here, they are super fun to make. They really are, because you can do something different. I love the chromatography. Unhealthy levels, thanks. Bye-bye now. Santa, bye. And great chat. Thank you all. And I'll talk to you again soon.